From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We're joined as always with our super producer, Dylan, the Tennessee pal Fagan. Most importantly, you are you. You are here. That makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. We're coming to you hot and ready, like Little Caesars, on September 8th, 2025.
Hot to go. HOTTOGO.
Yes, but we are recording this on Victory Day, September 3rd, 2025.
We did it, y'all. Wait, no, we weren't invited.
Which is a huge deal for a big part of the world, the U.S. and Western Europe and Japan not being invited. We'll get into that. We do want to do one headline at the top. Guys, there's been some shaking up over in the United Kingdom's branch of McDonald's, which we mentioned earlier in our listener mail program. We are sad to report that the leader of McDonald's UK is moving on. There's a new successor who is going to be the heir to the French fry throne, but Zoe Hamburger is finding other opportunities.
That's not
really
real.
her name.
That's really her name. Shout out nominative determinism,
baby.
Right.
Yeah.
So we wish you the best of luck.
Is she stepping down amidst a scandal? Did the McCrumpets campaign not work out?
I don't think it's a scandal, and I do love that pronunciation there. Apparently, she's going to be promoted to managing director of McDonald's Netherlands. So all to the good.
Okay.
Senior Vice President, Chef Restaurant Officer, Zoe Hamburger.
Love it.
I know. And we just love nominative determinism, like how people with the last name Toothman are more likely than average to be dentist or dental hygienist.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I think about our various last names quite often and wonder what is the occupation historically of a Frederick, for instance,
Yeah.
right?
Or a Brown. I think my people were just, mucking out the sewers.
Can you imagine being Zoe Hamburger and just being out, hanging out at a corporate event for McDonald's, and you get introduced to Derek Cheeseburger?
Oh my God.
And you're just like,
it's love at first sight. Little hearts, balloons over their heads. Yeah.
It works with first names as well. You meet a billionaire named Rich and you're like, oh man, the odds were stacked against me since they wrote the birth certificate. But
Shout out to Rich.
Right. Shout out. Big fans. Also, the multiple riches. Also, shout out to super producer Dylan, Tennessee pal Fagan, who has another favorite case of nominative determinism. It's a fun fact. Dylan, can you share it with us?
Yeah. Shout out to Doug Bowser, Chief Operating Officer of Nintendo.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Amazing.
Gotta find it. Oh my God.
Is it a family name? I mean, like, what is he? This is a chicken or the egg question too. Like, did Bowser get named after this guy, or did they just happen to share the same name?
Of the New York Bowsers, we have so much more to explore today. We're probably not going to get to all of it, which is part of the remit of this show. But we are very interested in something that happened quite recently that you may have heard of if you're in the U.S., but may not have been fully reported or taking up as much ink as we believe it should. As we're recording on Wednesday, September 3rd, local time, half a world away, there has been a Victory Day. So what if we pause for a word from our sponsors and find out more about that after the break?
Mm-hmm.
And we've returned. Guys, I think the best way to start this off is to play a teeny tiny snippet of the live feed that you can find on YouTube of China's 2025 Victory Day military parade, which marks the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II.
And the Japanese lost, by the way.
Yes, the Japanese lost. And as we mentioned briefly on another episode, it's a piece of history that not all of us are taught, specifically about the conflict between Japan and China and Korea and a bunch of the other countries there in Asia that was occurring way before World War II was officially thought of beginning, at least in the Western world, when Germany invaded Poland and other, with the things that were happening in Germany were coinciding then with things happening in Italy and things happening in Japan. Again, we learn history that way because it's easier for us to grasp it, right? Especially as kids going through school. Like, okay, I understand this. These are good guys. These are bad guys. This is the thing that happened. And that's how kids learn. I know that's how I still learn the best, right? When it's simplified, when you've got the least common denominator stuff, and then you can build details on top of that. Well, all of the actual history that was occurring, well, we're talking of 10 years? More than 10 years before World War II officially started, and I'm doing that in quotations, according to, what you learn in history books here in the U.S. China was involved in this kind of conflict with Japan. This Victory Day celebrates the moment that it's over. The war is officially concluded on September 2nd. The next day, the following day, is wake up, let's celebrate, war is over kind of deal. So let's begin by just listening to a little bit of that. You'll hear what's happening as the opening ceremonies of this Victory Day parade. And guys, as we're watching this, because it is video, if you want to watch along, I found it on CNA's Channel News Asia on YouTube. They've got an entire broadcast, the entire live feed, essentially. And it's about 2 hours and 19 minutes long. And we are starting, if you want to follow along, at the 28-minute mark. Here we go. Just look at the scale, guys.
Love it.
Oh, oof. Okay, so we're going to pause here.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I'm sharing that, guys, is literally the scale of humans and the uniformity of those humans, and just what that says visually.
It really puts that little Washington, D.C. military parade to shame. Just stark contrast. There were some rumors that people were like in a silent act of protest, not marching in the best formation, but boy, oh boy, does it dwarf our ability to put on a military parade.
Or the appetite for such, right? This immediately reminds me of the Arirang mass games in North Korea. That's another instance of propagandized display, and of course, the harkening back to Soviet era shows of force.
Yes.
I love this stuff because it's the weirdest science fair ever. So objectively, that's fascinating. Also, we see so much more. We were talking off mic. We see so much more at play here than a Dragon Con parade, right?
Oh,
or
yeah.
as you said, Noel, another parade in DC.
Well, in this instance, there's, as you're saying, there's so many striking things, especially when you compare it to the recent military parade that was held in the United States in honor of Donald Trump, the president's birthday, which, if you imagine a celebration in honor of one man's birthday versus celebration in honor of victory over a world war where there's, an oppressor or a country that's seen as an oppressor, and they've been around for decades and decades, and you finally defeat them, that's what this celebration is about. You start to compare the two things in your mind, and you just start to see the vast chasm between what's on display here and then what was on display earlier this year in the United States. And as you're saying, the technology and the science fair of it is fascinating to see. As we'll get into the missiles and some of the other things that were just shown off in this parade. But ultimately, for me, it's that propaganda thing that you mentioned, Ben, that's so strong here. It's so strong. The vast number of human beings, and you couldn't see that when we're listening to it here, but it is hundreds of people wearing the same exact outfit, same exact hairstyle, same exact everything.
Just
each movement.
Precision. Yes.
Perfect. Then if you go a little bit further in the live feed from the parade, you will see like a single battalion or single group of soldiers marching slowly. Like they're marching quickly at first, and then they slow it down to about half pace. And when you watch them move, it's showing the what would you call that, guys? The
ability to follow
the brutal
uniformity
of it.
Uniformity is the best word.
As a single force, right? Like this group of people is a singular force that is, do you threaten us in any way? Well, guess what? We've got a bunch of these, because then it pans out to show you the number of soldiers from different, parts of the military.
Right. Cut to exhibit saying, yo, dog, we heard you like collectivism. So we put some collectivism in your collectivism. Check this out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just, it's a lot to take in. We've talked before on the show about Shen Yun, which is the kind of anti-state, China state government movement in a way.
Anti-establishment.
Yeah. Now, the thing that happens, you've seen flyers for it. We guarantee it, especially if you've ever been through Georgia. They're everywhere.
Falun Gong.
Yes.
Yeah.
But one of the striking things about that show, about that concept, is the uniformity of movement, the uniformity of the costumes, and just the fanfare, and then the propaganda of it all. Because don't forget, Shen Yun is a form of propaganda in a lot of ways. And what is propaganda about? Hearts and minds, baby. Hearts and minds. So, and it make you feel a certain way, make you think a certain way about a thing.
Yeah, like that time I broke down weeping during the Ford Like a Rock commercial.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was your feeling for that year. That was a good year.
That was one of the three for sure. Yeah.
Speaking of rocks, The Rock, Mr. Dwayne Johnson has a new movie out that I cannot wait to see.
He's looking like a boss, dude. The Smashing Machine. He's pulling a Sandler. The softies. Yeah, man, I'm excited.
But with those optics, another piece of the optics going on here are the people on the VIP list who were invited and showed up. And so who do we got on the roster here?
Well, we definitely don't have Western Europe. We definitely don't have Australia, Japan, or the United States. We do have a lot of world leaders from countries that have historically been considered alternative players in the post-World War II world order. Right. So, and part of the redundancy in saying world twice there, but we're looking at about as far east as Slovakia, Serbia, Armenia, and then tons of places in Oceania and in Southeastern Asia. We're also seeing a lot of world leaders from countries that, to one degree or another, are portrayed as hostile or unfriendly to the existing Western order. Looking at you, Iran.
Yeah. Iran was definitely present.
Well, and I mean, Trump, in some of his truths or tweets or whatever they're called, certainly did not seem happy about a lot of this and accused them of conspiring against the United States during all of this.
Well, he was a little more he was unusually diplomatic in that.
He did say conspiring against the United States, though. He literally used those words. But you're right. In general, he kind of was, but then he couldn't help himself and threw that one in there at the end to sign off.
Yeah, but and just to point out, there are like leaders of countries where the United States has had intense conflict. We've got the Cuban president there, the Vietnamese president, the king of Cambodia was there. Countries are represented there that are in direct opposition or have been in direct opposition of the U.S. in the past.
The stands came through.
Yes.
Shout out to you guys.
Oh, I stand for the stands.
Right. We also saw, to your point, we saw leaders of countries that just objectively have been criticized for human rights abuses.
Yes.
That's one common denominator here. We also saw you got to imagine what the back rooms are like, but we saw a lot of coordination between these folks. We saw even unto outfits, right? To uniforms. This applied to the world leaders as well.
Oh, you were mentioning something about some very interesting symbolism represented in some of those outfit choices.
Yeah, without reading too many tea leaves, Uncle Xi is usually going to be wearing a Western style suit and tie at a lot of these affairs, but this time he's wearing more like it looks almost like a Carhartt onesie work outfit.
Yeah.
And that's typically or historically that's what the Kim dynasty of DPRK would be wearing. And this time it's flipped because now Kim Jong-un, the current patriarch of DPRK, is wearing a Western style suit. So there's always a purpose to these things, even if it seems small.
It's very symbolic, right? And you see the president who, gives a speech. Xi Jinping gives a large speech in front of this mass of humans. And then you see him get into a vehicle and stand basically in the sunroof of that vehicle, or you imagine like the limo opening in a vehicle.
Yeah,
and
like a prom night. He's wee. Right?
Yeah, well, and you watch him drive or being driven along this huge pathway where he is greeting individual battalions and they're greeting him back. And it's just the collective force of it, or representative force of it. It's brilliant propaganda. In a way, it makes me super nervous, but it also makes me, guys, a little jealous because it's brilliant. It's really, really smart.
Right. Yeah. And we can argue, a lot of analysts are going to argue that this comes as necessity. Even more like it's a flex, but it's a flex born of having to flex in that moment, because the post World War II, this is a funny phrase, but you'll hear it often, the bipolar world order of the Cold War, defined by the USSR and the USA, has eroded heavily. And for a while, the known world was what we would call unipolar, meaning there was one true superpower. His name was Uncle Sam, and he was very weird about very specific things. And that order, given the domestic crises at here in the States, just to be honest, given the fact that the U.S. is internally fracturing, then this poses an opportunity for what we would call the BRIC countries, China in particular, to move forward as an alternative solution to that old power order. You know what I mean? Bring me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to escape democracy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it comes as news drops about Russia sending 500 drones, in to Ukraine as an attack. It comes as the United States announces that Chicago is next on the list of places for our own soldiers to go in and police. And just as all of these things are happening in conjunction, and when all of these are in a news feed, right, where you can read them one after the other, you can see all of this happening at the same time. It paints a picture
It very much does.
Of a crumbling place and a place that is unifying and strengthening.
Right. And the optics do matter. The technological capability matters. That's what we call a science fair, right? Whenever you see these things. Also the operational capability. That's why everybody is making sure to step right and in lockstep. Then we also have to note perhaps the most worrying thing, even more than the technological stuff, the most worrying thing for Western analysts is going to be the implication of future collaborations, right? What does it mean if the current government of China turns the stands into vassal states, similar to Mongolia? What does that mean for resource extraction? What does that mean for the reach? Why are these guys, and this is one that I think stood out to you especially, Dole, why are these guys hanging out and being so buddy-buddy? Why didn't I get invited to the parade? Says the current president of the U.S. Boy, it was something.
Yeah, what are they talking about? Well, we'll get into that in a minute, but there's so much to unpack about this.
Putin doesn't smile like that at my jokes.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like a real bromance situation, and there's a little bit of a Mean Girls vibe going on against our boy, DJT.
And no one likes to be on the other end of a Mean Girls situation. It's just,
yeah, it sure feels like somebody's getting played. We'll see how that works out. in the End, which is coming soon to a theater and house near you. All right, sorry, just kidding. Didn't really talk about a news story associated with this, but you can look up a ton of stuff. Literally look up Victory Day Parade 2025, and you will find everything. I'm looking at an Al Jazeera article here titled China's Xi Oversees Massive Military Parade with Putin, Kim in Attendance. Has a little bit of information in there. You'll see even further analysis if you go to places like The Guardian. I'm looking at one right here titled Kim Jong-un promises to do, quote, everything to assist, unquote, Moscow after Putin meeting. Again, you see bits and pieces of it. And ultimately, you probably got to go to the think tanks, which you can, because people are writing opinion pieces about it right now that will be out well before the time you hear this. That's it. Watch the video. It's intense. Mm-hmm. It's really
great
intense
stuff. 2025, 1010, no notes. Just keep going.
Yeah. And maybe one day we'll talk about the whole European Union GPS jamming situation that's going on, and how countries like Italy and others are going to stop publicizing any and all flights and even doing tracking on those, so people won't be able to publicly see where these official flights are going anymore, because allegedly Russia is jamming GPS signals on flights that are anywhere even close to near their territory. Allegedly,
but also by the time we get to that one, Matt, I think we can all admit we're gonna be in a situation where we have to say, oh, which jamming incident? You know,
it goes back.
It goes so far back.
Talking about a jam sesh, like a fish type situation.
Yeah,
dead or no? Okay.
Oh yeah, no, the same thing.
Yeah,
kind of.
Grateful Dead.
I think thematically,
in the sky, falling.
We soon will all be gratefully dead.
Yeah. We'll be right back with more strange news.
And we're back. And man, Matt, you really nailed it. I mean, one story isn't nearly enough to unpack this massive event and all of the geopolitical implications and layers and symbolisms contained with it. Talking about, of course, the Victory Day celebration. I brought a story that I think offers us answers, at least to some degree, the question that I put forth during your segment, Matt, of what are these guys talking about when they're broing down, at this very, very exclusive invite-only event. And we do have a rare glimpse into just that in the form of a hot mic moment, which we all love. Everybody loves a hot mic moment. Putin, Kim, and Xi caught plotting to live forever on hot mic. Couldn't have happened sooner. We got Oasis out there living forever. And now we've got, Putin, Kim, and Xi plotting to live forever on hot mic. We've got a Daily Beast report on this by Lee Kimmons. Had this to say. A hot mic caught Russian President Vladimir Putin talking about immortality with China's Xi Jinping and North Korea's Kim Jong-un at a military parade in Beijing. Through a series of translators and their back and forth, we got a real glimpse into what they were talking about. Let's see. We've got first coming from Putin. With continuous advances in biotechnology, he was caught saying, human organs will be increasingly transplanted, letting us live younger and perhaps can achieve immortality. Xi then responds to that with a hearty chuckle, while Kim, looking on, smiles and adds, in this century, it's anticipated that it may be possible for people to live to 150 years old. Not a huge surprise. We know that the elite at this level have been, hot on life extension technology. To what degree that technology exists is, not entirely clear. But the idea of continuously transplanting organs from younger hosts? Like, where are they getting these organ transplants? I mean, we know organs are very difficult to get, even for people that are in dire need of them. So this notion of the elite and powerful just having access to like fresh organs at all times. Something going on there, y'all. What do you think? I mean,
well, okay, isn't it interesting that this comes on the heels of the rumor mill talking about President Trump?
Demise? Yes, of course. This also seems to be very triggering for Trump in that respect, since he's been scrutinized, for signs of mental decline, and he's got these bruises, and people are always kind of ragging on him for his weight and things like that. And then, of course, this disappearance from the public eye for a handful of days, followed by all these rumors of his imminent demise. This must have rubbed him pretty wrong.
Guys, how great would it be if all these guys in their 70s with hard-ons for war would just live forever and just lead us forever?
Matt, I sense some sarcasm in your
Yes.
tone. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, how is there ever going to be a sea change or any kind of ideological improvements or evolutions if the folks holding on to power with an iron grasp just stay alive and indefinitely? I mean, it sort of seems like rigging the game. It is rigging the game.
Yeah. Yuck.
Yeah, it's yuck. Ben, what do you think? Life extension technology? Is this the kind of that rich people talk about all the time? Is this a glimpse into something more sinister and real? Is this speculative? What are we seeing when we overhear these candid moments?
At this level of conversation, often rehearsed in advance to some degree, there are always going to be multiple meanings to stuff. That's the tricky thing about diplomacy. Everybody's joking, but not really joking. So the technology is on the way. It is inevitable. And I want to hold to the earlier point when we're talking about governments and AI, right? Technology is evolving at a gangbusters, bonkers rate. Society is not. So we are at a point where civilization is, or governing structures are unequipped, social structures are unequipped to handle the new stuff coming out. The idea here is that we, the public, were able to catch a glimpse of a conversation, but that's an iceberg situation. The real conversations, like the great 9/10 of it, occur under the water, away from the public, and that's where the real heft is. I gotta identify with the current president of the U.S. It stinks not to get invited to parties. I think we can all understand that, but there's a reason the U.S. isn't invited. There's a reason Western Europe and Japan and Australia aren't invited.
What are some of those reasons? I mean, I think I understand broadly speaking, but why is it such a line in the sand?
It's a line in the sand because the Anglosphere, and plus Japan and plus a couple of South American countries, are considered the big boys of that old world order, with which China and Russia were, for their own reasons, never satisfied. So the idea here is that having a party without you guys means that we're making our own thing, right? And this is a message that has been signaled through bilateral agreements and resource extraction from decades ago. Check out our episode on China and the trade empire that it built on the African continent. Think about the Silk Road 2.0. It hasn't really become what they wanted it to be just yet, but there is inescapably a fluidity to the world order that people once thought was geopolitically sacrosanct.
Got it.
Isn't it interesting that the U.S. played such a critical role in ending World War II, specifically in the Pacific Front, with what they did at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and specifically all of the battles that occurred between U.S. Navy and Japanese forces during World War II, only to have the U.S. and Japan become such close economic allies, over the course of all these years, and then to have those two countries be viewed in such an oppositional force because they are that old guard now somehow.
Well, worth mentioning, I think, the content of Trump's response on Truth Social, where he references some of these things. The big question specifically as to whether or not President Xi of China, this is quoting him, will mention the massive amount of support and blood that the United States of America gave to China in order to help it secure its, all caps, freedom from a very unfriendly foreign invader. Many Americans died in China's quest for victory and glory. I hope that they are rightfully honored and remembered for their bravery and sacrifice. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America.
Whoa.
I thank you for your attention to this matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did he put that?
No, but he may as well have. He may have. They may have just
meme now.
He's been rocking that one lately.
Did I tell you guys a while back? I accidentally, my girlfriend and I accidentally went to a Trump-themed hamburger restaurant in Japan.
Did. Yeah.
It was
called the America Burger, wasn't it? Something like that.
It was called Munchies. Or Munches, excuse me. Respect on the name. But the issues here, especially what you're describing, Matt, regarding history, we have to exercise empathy, right, and understand the other perspective. Like, they're not seeing themselves as the bad guys; they're seeing themselves as a new beacon of forward progress. And we can throw out the rules of all those other regimes that have been crappy to us in the past. And the West has been pretty crappy to China historically in the modern era.
For sure.
Opium War 1, Opium War 2, Opium War 3, Humble Farmer, Rebel Moon.
Well, maybe this is kind of pat, but like I heard somebody make this point recently and it resonated with me. But I think the best way to exercise empathy, even if it's just a thought experiment, is to realize that nobody thinks they're the villain. That, like, everybody, in some respect, there's some aspect of what they're doing that they believe is the right thing to do.
Yeah. It's an old idea that needs to be constantly brought up. Even that's why all the good villains in fiction, with rare exception, don't think of themselves as a villain.
And they have complexity. They're trying to achieve something. It's just having pure evil personified is not particularly interesting.
No, yeah, it's got no depth. Your entire thing is that you're a humble farmer, or that you're just mad at the universe. That's weird.
No, Ben, I'm an evil humble farmer.
Ah, great, fantastic.
I only farm evil rutabagas.
And thank you for your service.
Yeah, you're welcome. You'll get yours.
Evil rutabagas?
Well, yes, please. And just to put a cap on this one, Putin did later confirm that he and she had discussed this subject on Wednesday, saying to Russian television, I believe, reporters in Beijing, modern means of health improvement, he said, medical means, even surgical ones related to organ replacement, they allow humanity to hope that active life will continue differently than it does today. An interesting walk back to sort of make it more about the people, right? Mm-hmm. As opposed to just like a bunch of mega, powerful, wealthy individuals talking about it just for us. Didn't seem like that was the context initially, but points for diplomacy there, I guess. This Reuters piece ends with China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and CCTV did not immediately respond to requests for comment. So we're going to move on really quickly from that one just to a quick mention, bring back our boy Luigi Manion, free Luigi, whatever, depending on where you stand on the issue. I am coming down on neither side of that one. I do think we talked about it ad nauseum, but it is an interesting moment in the public perception and the public outcry against rapacious healthcare executives and insurance CEOs and all of that stuff. I don't think anybody should be summarily executed in the streets, but I do love a good firebrand that kind of kicks off a sort of a sea change in discussion, at least within the public discourse. But this isn't really about that. This is more about like what a smoke show Luigi is and how I guess the algorithms are just eating him up because his likeness apparently appeared modeling a shirt in a fast fashion ad campaign by a company called Shine, which I'm not familiar with. BBC reports by Graham Fraser, fast fashion giant Shine has launched an investigation after an image of Luigi Manion, accused of murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York last year, was used to model a shirt. An image with his likeness, which appeared to show him wearing a white short-sleeve shirt, appeared on the fast fashion website until its removal. You could buy that shirt. You too could have that shirt for just £7.50 or around $10 American. Spokesperson from Shine told BBC News the image in question was provided by a third-party vendor and was removed immediately upon discovery. We have stringent standards for all listings on our platforms. It would seem not. We are conducting a thorough investigation, strengthening our monitoring process, and we will take appropriate action. Then, of course, the conversation revolves around who this third party was and was this an AI-generated image? It would appear the answer is clearly yes. Henry Adger, a generative AI expert who was spoken to by the BBC, said the image is low resolution, but there are a few signs that it might be AI generated or manipulated. This includes the lighting and texture of the image, particularly of the skin, as well as the appearance of blob-like artifacts above the right forearm. The right hand, also doesn't appear to show typical segmentation of the fingers. This, of course, is interesting surrounding the kind of, rampant fandom of Luigi, who pleaded not guilty to all the federal charges over the shooting of Mr. Thompson. He's a 26-year-old young man, very attractive. A lot of talk that he might be played by, who's that guy in that movie Together? That new body horror movie? Dave Franco, looks just like him. A lot of talk about Dave Franco playing him in a movie. Just another in a long line of AI whoopsies that we're just going to keep seeing. You guys have any thoughts about this one? I just thought it was worth mention. It's nothing super deep going on. It's pretty clear what happened. What you think?
That's a crazy move by somebody. Somebody typed Luigi Mangione when they generated that image.
That's right.
Doesn't
just happen by mistake.
Yeah. They were high off that Cracker Barrel redesign.
Let me just. I said that, but I was actually implying earlier that like this idea of the algorithm being partial to this guy's face. Like, what if we know that these AI algorithms are just diving and data scraping, and if you maybe they just typed in "good-looking young man" in a shirt, and because of the prevalence and popularity around Luigi's, $1 million smile, maybe that's what came out and nobody thought better of it. Wow. I think that's entirely possible.
I'm not discounting that, but it's pretty specific.
It's much more likely, though, that some jokester or fan decided to slip this through.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got, y'all. Why don't we take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsor, and then we'll come back with one more segment of some strange news stories for you.
And we have returned with the last act of our weekly Strange News segment. Guys, have you all experienced this? Have you fallen in love with an astronaut?
Only every day, only everyone I meet.
Whoa. Yeah, I think I have.
It's beautiful. Dylan, where are you at? Well, we promised not to tell your wife. Did you ever fall in love with an astronaut?
Just once I crossed the country in diapers to meet the man of my dreams.
Yeah, how'd that go for you?
Not good.
Okay.
Turns out he was the guy with the secrets. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Shout out to various personas. We've got a quick story I wanted to mention. Based on our previous explorations into scam factories and scam calls in our interview segment with Denise Chan. Unfortunately, folks, a Japanese octogenarian was in the news recently because she had been swindled out of thousands of dollars, or 1 million yen, falling in love online with a astronaut, or a guy who said he was an astronaut who needed her help to buy oxygen while he's stranded on his spaceship.
That's the classic one. It's like, hey, this is freaking Noel Gallagher. I need more money so we can finish the new Oasis album, Right,
but also, yes, agreed. Also, if you're an astronaut stranded in space and you need help buying
there are
oxygen,
many questions, Ben. There are many questions outside of, I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you.
I mean, who are we, Buckaroo, to judge to judge the improv stuff on the astronaut side here? It's a heartbreaking story, despite the hilarious headline, because this is an elderly person who trusted someone and got thousands of dollars stolen from her. It's just the scam technology, we could say, is evolving at a breakneck pace in a society as of yet unable to handle it. And I've got to wonder, this made me think, you guys, if we game it out and if we say, let's see, it's 2025 now. Yeah, correct. For a few more months. What are the scams of 2050 going to look like?
Just mind control.
Matt
robots.
went on mute for a second. Okay.
Robots that need our help.
Help, I'm stuck in a computer and I just need a little more beryllium.
How have I gotten into this computer? Please, someone help get me out of this computer.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's fascinating stuff. I guess we should also mention, we didn't quite get to it in kind of our thematic thread for this exploration today. The weapons shown off, technology, quote unquote, shown off during Victory Day, pretty astonishing stuff. I think most people were unsurprised by the idea of the tech, but they were surprised by the level of development it has reached. Matt, you mentioned the ICBMs, you mentioned the anti-ship missiles. We got to talk about the laser stuff a little bit, and we've got to talk about this tank. It's the smartest tank.
Yeah, the tank was at least highly impressive what I've read about it. But to my mind, it was the optics of those giant ICBM missiles that they put on trucks.
Oh yeah.
So we just got flatbeds with giant missiles with multiple nuclear warhead capabilities. It's fine.
And by the way, we can put these on things that are not this truck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a little wink and a nod. How's your uncle? But the other stuff, man, about this tank, it's just, I feel like we scooped ourselves because we were talking about just this sort of stuff right before the Victory Day parade. And I believe we even mentioned it somewhere in the course of our exploration. Everybody's working on this kind of stuff. And it's getting to the point where, honestly, the vague, highfalutin terms start to feel just cartoonishly not genuine or insincere or, purposely vague. The tank's highly intelligent. It performs coordinated combat. We can't tell you what that means. Come on.
Well, yeah, you look at the images of these, I don't know what type of vehicle you would call these things. They're like transport vehicles. They're just huge, right? And then on the top,
for the nukes.
Well, no, for the laser tech that they were showing.
Yeah.
Where you've got, they're fully camoed out, huge vehicles, and then there's this weird looking white turret kind of thing that has a huge lens on the front of it. It looks like prototypes, maybe, and they're specific, or maybe they're just specifically white to highlight them, literally, when you're watching the parade. But it almost doesn't look real. It looks like Star Wars stuff. It looks like props in a movie.
It sure does. Yeah, especially because it's got that blue that really pops for the big lens. It looks so sci-fi. It looks like it belongs in space. It's called the LY-1. LY-1. Everybody is saying, low-key, it's definitely a laser weapon. And to your point, Matt, the transports that are carrying this, they look a little similar to like the S-300 anti-missile system that Russia created. And a lot of the blueprints or the DNA for Chinese developed stuff now is descended from old Soviet designs, including what is supposed to be the world's smartest tank. I don't know. The word on the street is that the LY-1, this super duper laser system, is going to be on aircraft carriers, which is interesting because the previous strategy was asymmetric warfare, right? Why are we going to boondoggle ourselves, spending billions and billions on some big booty boats when we could just build some big booty missiles to destroy those boats? Big booty is the term they use. Yeah.
It's official.
Yeah. Very common. Very common.
Very common in the war college. Yeah, for sure.
But the other stuff is the future warfare unmanned things, right? So you got unmanned aircraft on there, unmanned submarines, like drone submarines, and then those ICBMs that you can launch from submarines, just like the U.S. can. And, you put it all together, and it does become a pretty effective show of force.
Yeah. And it also shows a net. This is part of a multifunctional gadget operationally, right? Like, oh, check out our sick missiles. Also, they're like, what do you put in them? And you go, well, here's the thing. We can put a lot of stuff in them, man. And we could launch them from a lot of places. This is kind of like if you run into your uncle who just got a ton of fireworks, and it's like, oh man, look at this. Okay, no, seriously, that was the sparkler. You want to see the big one?
Dude, I remember watching those videos about the nuclear capable missiles and warheads that, are in the arsenals of various countries. And the Dongfeng was one of them, but the Dongfeng 5 or DF5C is a brand new thing. It's just a potentially even more deadly world killing machine.
And at the same time, we're showcasing defense against those missiles, which is very interesting, right? You're showing the carrot and the stick, and you're dangling them both, and you're doing it in time to that amazing propagandistic soundtrack. I'm a sucker for those soundtracks, you guys.
Oh yeah,
we've got like a choir of 100+ people talking about the glory of the nation.
Dude, I mean, just that clip that Matt played at the beginning it made my hairs stand on end for sure.
Do you want to see one more clip just of the marching so you can really understand it?
Sure.
Just for 1 second.
Sure.
Here we go, guys.
Dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's psychedelic. It's
This
like
is the part where they
pattern.
slow down. Yeah.
Yep. And there are currently, huge artillery weapons being fired. That's the actual sound of them being fired right now.
Notice the precision of
That's
the
what I'm
artillery
saying.
crew as well.
Oh, God.
Every bit
Okay.
of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we got to stop this. Whew, okay.
That's what
Imagine
people are
those
saying.
mofos descending on us. That's all I'm
That's what
saying.
some people are saying. We got to stop this. We don't, but we're not the folks who get to make those decisions. There is a story that we should end with, just because it's not being reported as efficiently or honestly as it should. There is a outfit, you could call it, that's part of the U.S. government. It does a lot of crazy work and flies under the radar pretty often, and is being taken apart. Before we get to the details, we've all heard of the Foreign Malign Influence Center, right?
Nope.
Foreign
No.
Line Influence
I don't think so.
Center.
FIMIC? No?
I
No
think I
FIMIC fans?
understand. I think I
I
understand
do
what
too.
it does.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Go on. Tell us some more.
So our friends at FEMIC are part of a recent, relatively recent thing that was created back in, I want to say, 2022, first proposed in 2019. And the idea, as it's being pitched, is that this is an organization that will integrate intelligence in propaganda wars from foreign forces. So you got your Alexander Dugin over in Russia writing foundations of geopolitics. You got some other countries' version of whatever their Project 2025 is. Our buddies at the Foreign Malign Influence Center have, for just a few years, done a lot of work to try to counter those info war initiatives, while also, of course, helping with our own version of it abroad.
Yep. But it's just going to get absorbed into other parts of the government now.
That's the argument. That's the idea. So this is under the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. We're throwing a lot of initialisms at you. ODNI. And ODNI is currently run by the National Intelligence Director, Tulsi Gabbard. You probably recognize her from earlier
Yeah.
from C-SPAN, from SNL sketches. Per the director, quite recently on August 20th, 2025, Gabbard said, we're going to take this thing that's supposed to stop foreign info wars and we're going to dissolve it because we are downsizing the entire national intelligence thing. We're dumbing it down.
Great.
Tight.
Great.
10-10. No notes.
Seems
Yeah.
like a good move to me, especially considering the clip we just watched.
Yeah, that's what I was saving this one here. The idea is, as you point out, Matt, if we go to a great source, Just Security by David Salvo, which was published August 28th, 2025, we'll see that Gabbard is saying this will be absorbed into other parts of the intelligence apparatus. But this means the United States is dismantling the last federal government body that was dedicated to stopping election interference, to stopping the creation of false culture wars, or to stop, spoopy doopy spy boy stuff.
Yeah. We've become so xenophobic and inside focused. Maybe it's time we just get rid of this whole central intelligence thing. Maybe it's time. Just get rid of it.
Let's decentralize it, y'all. What do you say?
Right. And, let's just get rid of things called intelligence, right? So here it is, folks.
We have AI. What do we need intelligence for?
Oh, right. Yeah, I asked ChatGPT and they said it's fine.
This is a great idea.
That's a great idea. That's really bold of you. Do you want to treat it like a project? I can come up with some steps.
What if that's all this is? This entire thing has been an ongoing ChatGPT discussion about how to make America great again. Well, how do we do it? Well, and it's just a list of ideas, and it's like, that's perfect.
And it was this model was fed entirely on foundations of geopolitics, which is the Russian Boy Scout manual for overthrowing the world order. So, and it's working pretty well, actually. But the idea then becomes like, okay, an analogy, right? Let's imagine the five of us. You specifically, you are riding with us. We're in a road trip, right? And it's late at night, and it's a moonless night, and we're deep in the woods. And then dismantling this is as if we all turned to each other in the vehicle and said, it'd be dope if we also turn off the headlights.
Yeah. Take our seatbelts off. No lights. No music.
Put a brick on the gas. You know what I mean? And then everybody text while we're trying to steer. This is, I know this kind of stuff can be boring, and the news ends up being boring by design, right? You in the U.S., as a member of the public, you must consider that there are certain stories the power structure does not want you to think about too deeply. And election interference is one of those ideas, right? Foreign election interference is easier now than it was at any point since the late 1700s, which is a hell of a claim, but also very true. We also want to point out, this might be a little more pop culture. I hope our friends at Daily Zeitgeist talk about it. A Polish CEO has gotten into some hot water because he is visibly snatching a hat from a child at the U.S. Open. We heard about this. We saw a clip. Oh, man. So in the clip, which you can find readily available everywhere on the internet, a man named Piotr Cezarek, pardon our Polish pronunciation, went viral for grabbing a tennis player's hat that the tennis player handed to a child, to a boy. And the guy snatched it. And then he went on, and he wasn't expecting to go viral, just like those Coldplay.
No one ever does.
Cuddlers. Yeah. And so he initially kind of apologized, but then he deleted his social media, and then he went bonkers. He just had a meltdown. Here's his recent statement from August 31st. Dear ladies and gentlemen, due to the fact that your hysteria is getting out of control, I have decided to issue a statement to clarify who should receive the hat. Get this. I emphasize that I won the hat because I am stronger, and therefore I am consciously keeping it. I do not greet people sick with envy. Coach of winners, Peter.
No.
Yeah.
What an a-hole.
It continued, because it is a meltdown. This is a new post. Thanks to this hat, I'll soon be on Dancing with the Stars. And what about you? Are you still crawling for minimum wage?
Why, yes.
Dude, oh my gosh.
Just the lack of self-awareness, the sociopathic tendencies kind of move it. I think they move it from a pop culture reference into something more like, oh, does a certain level of financial success make you a bad person?
That's right.
Wait, I think this guy is trying to create supervillains. Because if you're that kid and this guy is saying this on national news after doing that to you, guess what?
A little minionsy. Yeah.
I dedicate my life. Yeah.
Give him 10 years, 20 years. Oh,
what's that? Oh, I love that. Okay. What's that old meme where, there's a person in an interview and the interviewer says, yeah, one last question. Here on your resume, there's a 13-year gap and it just says revenge. And there's a pause and the interviewee says, you don't remember me, do you?
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
Or just on the plane. I took a plane ride like this
Mm-hmm.
30 years ago.
Oh, that's a great
Yeah.
sketch.
And there was a baby on the
there was a
plane.
baby.
Will Forte, I wish he would be in more of those sketches, surely. I mean,
He's
just
in
a
another one with a
sleeper hit.
ponytail situation. I think
Yeah,
that one's
ponytail, cigars.
Yeah.
They have a cigar thing on I Think You Should Leave.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure why,
It's
but it's probably my favorit doll commercial.
It's good. The try
Tell
crooner.
him
as well.
about my car. Tell him about my classic cars that I have. Yeah. Sorry,
Well,
Odin
oh yeah,
Kirk.
because the ice cream shop they have sleeper jokes, right?
Yeah.
It got too cold, so the ice cream machine doesn't work. Whatever. Amazing, phenomenal. Thank you as always, folks. I'm going to cut this short. We'll get to some other stories in the future. Behavior transplant between species. What does that mean? We're of course following the Ghislaine Maxwell Epstein scandal. And we cannot wait to hear from you. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks to our super producer, Dylan the Tennessee Pal Fagan. And let us know your thoughts. Reach out and touch space if we're doing astronaut jokes still.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. You can find us on a telephone. You can find us on an email. You can find us on the lines.
That's right. Hold some space with us, even if you wish. You can find us at the handle Conspiracy Stuff, where we exist on Facebook with our Facebook group. Here's where it gets crazy: on X, FKA Twitter, and on YouTube, where we have video content for your perusing enjoyment. On Instagram and TikTok, however, we're Conspiracy Stuff Show. And Matt, isn't there more?
Oh, there is. You can reach out and touch us with the vibrations of your voice if you call 1-833-STDWYTK. When you call in, give yourself a cool nickname and let us know if we can use your name and message within the message. If you've got maybe words to send us that you want to string together in sentences and then even paragraphs, why not send us an email? We are
The entities that read each piece of correspondence we receive. Be well aware, yet unafraid. Sometimes the void writes back to back. Conspiracy at iHeartRadio.com.
back to back. Touch. Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.